Stop trying to be perfect, because it's literally making your life worse. I know that sounds harsh, but hear me out. If you're constantly beating yourself up for not being good enough, not achieving enough, or not having it all figured out, you're actually sabotaging the very growth you're desperately seeking. Look, I get it. You wake up every morning with this mental checklist of who you think you should be: the perfect partner, the successful professional, the person who never loses their temper or makes mistakes. But here's what nobody talks about. That pursuit of perfection is keeping you stuck in a cycle of self-criticism that's destroying your mental health and blocking your authentic growth. The truth is, your imperfections aren't flaws to fix. They're actually the doorway to real self-awareness and genuine connection with others. When you embrace radical acceptance of who you are right now, flaws and all, something magical happens. You stop wasting energy on shame and start channeling it into actual progress. Think about the last time you made a mistake. Did you treat yourself with compassion, or did that inner critic immediately start attacking? Most of us have this voice in our heads that's harsher than we'd ever be to our worst enemy. But what if I told you that voice is actually working against everything you want to achieve? Research shows that self-compassion, not self-criticism, is what drives real lasting change. When you practice forgiveness toward yourself, you create space for vulnerability, and vulnerability is where authentic growth lives. You can't heal what you won't acknowledge, and you can't acknowledge what you're constantly judging. Here's the shift that changes everything. Instead of saying, "I'm such an idiot for making that mistake," try, "I'm human. I made a mistake, and I can learn from this." Feel the difference? One keeps you trapped in shame, the other opens up possibilities for growth. Now, I'm not saying you should lower your standards or stop striving for better. I'm talking about changing your relationship with the journey. Excellence and self-compassion aren't opposites. They're partners. When you accept your imperfections, you actually become more resilient, more creative, and more capable of taking the risks that lead to breakthrough moments. Let's talk about what radical acceptance actually looks like in practice. It means acknowledging your emotions without trying to fix them immediately. When you're feeling anxious, instead of thinking, "I shouldn't be anxious," you think, "I notice I'm feeling anxious right now, and that's okay." This simple shift stops the emotional spiral before it starts. It means letting go of the need to control how others see you. Authenticity is magnetic, but it requires the courage to show up as you really are, messy parts included. The people who matter will appreciate your honesty, and the ones who don't probably weren't your people anyway. Here's something most self-improvement content won't tell you. Progress isn't linear. You're going to have good days and terrible days. You're going to take steps backward sometimes. That's not failure. That's being human. The goal isn't to eliminate the low moments. It's to develop the inner peace to navigate them without losing sight of who you're becoming. I want you to try something right now. Think about one thing you've been criticizing yourself for lately. Maybe it's a relationship that ended, a goal you haven't reached yet, or a pattern you can't seem to break. Now, instead of judgment, offer yourself the same compassion you'd give a good friend going through the same thing. Notice how that feels different in your body. That's the power of self-worth that isn't conditional on perfection. When you build this foundation of unconditional self-acceptance, everything else becomes possible. Your relationships improve because you're not desperately seeking validation. Your goals become more achievable because you're not paralyzed by fear of failure. The most successful, fulfilled people I know aren't the ones who never make mistakes. They're the ones who've learned to treat their imperfections as information, not indictments. They understand that confidence comes not from being flawless, but from knowing they can handle whatever comes their way. If this resonates with you, I'd love for you to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're going to continue exploring how to build this unshakable foundation of self-compassion. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that they're enough exactly as they are right now. Remember, you don't have to earn your worth through perfection. You already have it simply by being human. The question isn't whether you're perfect. It's whether you're willing to be perfectly imperfect and discover the incredible freedom that comes with radical self-acceptance. Your journey toward growth doesn't start when you fix all your flaws. It starts the moment you accept them and choose to move forward anyway. And that moment can be right now.